Hey guys, today is Thursday, April 9th. So, in the home office world, right? Oh, sorry. It went by pretty fast, but I'm not working tomorrow since my dad is coming to visit me today and spending the night till tomorrow. So I'm taking tomorrow off, which feels weird to take time off when I'm like at home all the time, but you know, that's how it goes. So yeah, things have been good. I made a big pot of soup yesterday, and one of my friends came over and we had chowder and hung out. We watched some Big Bang Theory, which is the show that she's never seen before. So we're on season 9 now. We've been watching the show for like a year because we don't see each other enough to finish it. But then again, there is 12 seasons, so if it takes us a while, it's okay. Yeah, reading's been going good. I finally finished Lair of Dreams, which I started back in January. Here, I'll set this up here. So it was funny to finally finish it. And now that I'm working from home, I have more time to listen, because when I worked in the office, I would have to listen to it on my computer and then pause it every time I had a like phone call to make or something. And it just wasn't a good continuous listening experience. And now that I'm at home, I just have my like speaker up, one of my portable speakers, and I'm listening to books on there. And then if I have a call, I just hit pause, like if someone picks up. So like I don't have to stop it to make the call, because people don't always answer the phone. That's how it goes. It's part of sales. So, yeah, so it's been good. So I finished Lair of Dreams, which is a great book. And that's the thing that I was bothered with, is I just wasn't in the mood for audiobooks for the last couple months, which is weird. I love audiobooks, but I just wasn't in the mood. I was listening to a lot of podcasts and not audiobooks on my way to work. And that's when I would get through a lot of audiobooks, listening to them to work and back. And now I don't even have that time anymore, but I just was tired of staring at it in my Audible library, and I was like, I want to finish this. So I did, and it's such a great story. I gave it 4.5 stars. My only issue with Libre is that she's so slow of a buildup, and that like drives me bonkers because it's too slow for me sometimes. But it's good because she builds such a beautiful story that by the time it all, you know, comes out, it's so built. Like, it's this perfect stack of Lincoln Logs that she's building. And by the time you get to the climax and all these different perspectives converge, it's so satisfying. Like, the end of this one was even more satisfying than the last one, because even more people converged on each other, and I loved that. So I definitely want to read the third one, but I'm really nervous about it because her books do not shy away from the issues. Like, they hit you right in the feels. They go right to, you know, like this one had a lot to do with how immigrants are treated, especially like with the internment of different people and the way that they were treated in, this one's in the 1927, and it's hard to read. But there's so many, these books are so diverse. We have different races, we have different sexual orientations, we have different classes of people, and then mixed in with the magic. And I get a little uncomfortable whenever religion is always used as the thing that makes people crazy, because I just don't believe that religion is the only kind of institution that can cause people to be prejudiced against others. I think it's an excuse to say that it's always that. I'm not saying it isn't sometimes, absolutely not saying that, but there's plenty of other different groups and things that are racist and cruel to different kinds of people without that. So that just makes me nervous because there's an undercurrent of that in this series, and it just makes me annoyed. But yeah, so I definitely want to continue, but I can't do it right now because I have other bigger fish to fry. So I just started The Final Empire on audio. That's the next audiobook I'm listening to. It's read by Michael Kramer, who does a lot of Brandon Sanderson books. He does the Wheel of Time books with his wife, Kate Redding. And I just really want to, his voice is very soothing to listen to. He does great character voices, especially if you turn him up, turn him fast just a little bit because he's a very slow reader. But things are going good. Then I also not making good progress in Sherwood. I've read so many Robin Hood retellings and they always keep the characters exactly the same. Like I've never read a Robin Hood retelling where they got more creative. And I've even read it like the Maid Marian character when she's the focus. I've read all the different versions of that and it just bums me out because it's not my favorite one to see as a retelling. Whereas like I never get sick of Beauty and the Beast because I love the tropes involved with it. But, so I don't know. That's our group pick and I'm trying to get into it. I haven't heard anything else from the group yet. Nobody's given me updates about what they're feeling. But I made it through Megan Spooner's book when we did Hunted and I enjoyed it. We'll see how I feel about this one because it's really not what I'm in the mood for. But I really want to try to do it because I haven't been reading enough fantasy. I want to read more fantasy. So we shall see where we get to. I'm gonna go get some more work done before my daddy gets here. Gotta film a couple more videos soon too. That's why I'm a little fancier than normal. Gave myself some color today instead of looking like a pale ghost, which is what I am because I haven't been in the sun enough. But check back in with you guys later. Hi guys. I hope you're doing well still. This is a clip that I'm adding on, so it's not like I need to say hello for the first time. We're already chatting with each other. Isn't that great? So, yeah, it is Friday night. It feels like a Saturday because I had the day off today. My parents came to visit me last night, spent the night, had a wonderful time. It was so good to get to see people, have someone come and visit me, and we just hung out. My dad and I, we watched Yellowstone, which is a TV show that I love so much. I'm super into it, and I really wanted to get my dad hooked on it, so I did. Couple fun updates with reading wise. So let me grab them. Excuse me while you have a nice thing. So first one, I finally started listening to The Final Empire. I am 100 pages in. I'm 4 hours into the audiobook. Really liking it so far. I mean, nothing crazy is happening yet. I like that I've heard my friends talk about it so much because I know the names of people already. That's something that's always the hardest for me with a new fantasy world is like blending into it. Like sometimes it's hard for me to get into that new area, but I've heard so much about Mistborn that it wasn't that difficult at all. So I'm really liking it. They are putting the team together and that's all that I will say. Then when I went to Barnes & Noble yesterday, I came across this book in the sci-fi section. It's called Docile by K.M. Spara. Like, I haven't looked up anything, so I don't know how to pronounce this. And it's kind of freaking me the fuck out, but it's very interesting so far. So the setup of this is a futuristic Maine. Like, it's randomly set up in, like, Maine. And we have this society where people who are in debt, they can choose to become a docile, which is basically a slave. Like, they're signing up for indentured servitude. It's what it would have been back in, you know, forever of time where you had debts, you owed them, you would become someone's indentured servants, either because you owed them money or like they bought your debt and now you owe it to them. And however, the way this works is you're signing up to be a slave. So what you can do is you can sign over your debt and then you can place yourself basically up. It's not quite for auction because you have these 7 rights when you decide to become a docile. You have the right to You have the right to still vote, so you lose your right as like a citizen. You have the right to adequate care, water, food, shelter, and hygiene, and medical attention. You have the right to be anonymous. You have the right to have one personal item. You have the right for personal safety. You have the right for sexual health. And you have the right to refuse or ask for Docilin, which is what this whole thing is about. So Docilin is a drug you can choose to take to basically like wipe your mind while you're in service. And so you can be in service for however long you and your new like owner choose to have it be for. So let's say you're in service for 20 years and they're paying off $3 million of debt, or you are going into a life term with this person and they'll pay off, you know, just these huge amounts of debt. And so we have this character named Elisha who he takes over the debt of his mother and father. He gets it signed over to his name and he sells himself to this doctor named Alex for a lifetime term to be his docile. Now, Alex, he is the son of the creator, like his family created Docilin. And so he's looking for a docile that he can try his new prototype on that is supposed to make the whole, like, it's supposed to be the best form of Docilin that there's ever been. The thing is, he doesn't know before he picks Elisha that Elisha isn't going to take Docilin. He's going to be one of the people who refuses because his mother did a 10-year term to pay off some of her own debt, and it left her a blank slate. Like, she doesn't remember her family or her own name. And so Elisha has decided that no matter what he has to live for, he will choose to not take this drug and not to go numb. So heavy stuff we're set up into. It's very, very clear that 90% of the people going into this are signing over to their bodies. Like, it's more for sexual needs than for other. There are people who buy people for labor or for being housemaids or things like that. But it's very clear what Elisha is doing, like what he's going to be used for. So it's a really weird system because the people are signing up for it. They still have certain rights, but you see what's expected of them. And when they put them on Docilin, like, they just make them do. And it's very clear that it's sex slavery. Like, that is what it is. It's rape what happens to Elisha because he doesn't want it to be happening, but he has no other choice to save his family. It's either do this or prison, and like, that's what slavery is. And it makes you very aware of, you know, why people would do that even today. Like, it happens all the time, whether by forcibly so someone's paying off a debt or because they have no other choice for their families but to choose to be sold into it. So they say yes to being sold, but you're still not doing that of free will, if you know what I mean. And I, so far, am interested in it. It's very hard to read because it is very sexual and it's almost written like a master-slave thing, but it's also very much from like the sci-fi point of it, of like, you know, that futuristic world. There's a lot of questions I have. The main one being like, this is taking place in the United States, in Maine, and it's not clear how much of the world this is happening in. Like, they so far haven't mentioned like any other countries being a part of this or being, like, is this the same world we're living in? Because they try to make it seem like it's still the same world. It's just, you know, that like future time. So I don't know, but it caught my eye and the story is really interesting. And we've just had the first instant where Alex, so the owner, is having a hard time like seeing Elisha as an object. And so he's having to force himself to do that. And so it's just really painful because since Elisha refuses to take the medicine, or the drug and like do everything without thinking. When he messes up, he has to be punished and trained into the perfect slave. So the Docilin just makes you do all of it and be happy about it and not worry or feel ashamed or have any of that in it. And that's just not real. Like, that's not how it is. And so we're watching him, even though we get points of view from Alex's head, and you can see like the weird brain place that he's coming from, you still know that like this is abuse. It's just one of those, it's one of those sci-fi stories where the abuser hasn't yet questioned the system, at least where I'm at. I mean, I'm only 120 pages in. And you can tell he's starting to have feelings for his slave. But that slave can never truly love you back, because if they're not free to have chosen you, then there's still always a power dynamic that you can never get away from. And I like that this book is looking into that. So I will stick with it and see where it goes. Like, I have a pretty strong stomach for this because there has been master-slave, like, erotic fic that I've read before and been really into it. And I don't have a problem with it because I can suspend my disbelief for the turn of the book. But this one, because it's clear how just gut-wrenchingly wrong this is, because we're not just dealing with one man and one man. So yeah, this is a gay relationship too, which I think was a good choice to show this slavery from a man's point of view too, because we've seen it done from a woman's side so many times, and it's so easy to say that, you know, she has Stockholm syndrome or is just doing what she has to do to survive. But when you see a man who is physically strong and able to protect himself have to submit to situations like this, I think it brings it home to us that sometimes things are beyond your control that you wouldn't have thought before. So I just talked a whole ton about this. I'm probably going to finish this either tonight or tomorrow because it's fascinating and I really want to get through it. And I think it's a really interesting read. It's very hard, but very good. So I'll let you know. So I thought I would show you a little bit of unboxing stuff since I don't really do that anymore. But I had ordered some stuff from Thrift Books, as well as I got my books from Murphy that she annotated for me, as well as I think something else. But so this is my Thrift Book. I don't know if you've ever went on Thrift Book. This isn't an ad for them or anything, but it's where I get a lot of my romance novels because they're connected with like different thrift stores, and so there's a ton of books in them. So I'm trying to complete my Lisa Kleypas collection, and my Barnes & Noble just doesn't have all of them, and I can't find them all, so I get them from them. So I picked up Because You're Mine, Midnight Angel, and Only in Your Arms. These are some of the older ones. Oh, it's so fun. This one is from 1992. They're in such good condition, too. I love books. And then in this one, I have Someone to Watch Over Me and Love Come to Me. Dude, this is so cool. I think this one is this one in London? No, this one's in Massachusetts. It's because I actually ordered a couple of hers that are her American history ones too. So this is like one of her first books. This one's 1988. So I almost have all of hers because of the romance deep dives that I'm doing on some authors. I really want to make sure I've read at least all of theirs that I'm interested in, if not their whole collection, before I do those, just because it feels more fun to talk about them. So there's 5 more of hers. And then let's open this, which should have some goodies from my friend Murphy. You've probably heard of her. A lot of you have found me because of her, but she has her channel. It's called Murphy Napier, and we've been friends for a couple years now. And I'm one of her patrons because all the money from her patrons goes towards adopting their next child. And so I get books annotated by her. So here's what I have in here. I have Rage of Dragons, which she absolutely loved, and so I wanted her copy, her annotated copy of that. So I'm super excited to read this. I've heard really great things about it. And then I have annotated Philosopher's Stone. I'm slowly getting all of these from her, one at a time. If there's a book like normal that I don't want from her, I'm slowly getting these because I don't have the hardcover Harry Potters. So one by one, I'm collecting them from her. And then she gave me back my copy of The Winter of the Witch because she didn't end up wanting to read this. She wasn't in the mood for it. And I loved it, but it's okay. So yeah, so those are the books in my quick little haul. I just thought I would jump in and show you since I never like talk about my hauls anymore because I kind of just order books all the time. I mean, I'll do book hauls, but I don't like show unboxings or anything, but that's it. Hi guys. I just thought I'm just going to wrap this up really quick this way. Probably not going to go back over everything because this week I have my part 1 wrap up for April coming, and this vlog is already super long, which is fine. I love long vlogs. I'm stuck at home all the time. There's tons of reading getting done. Right now I'm just editing my Outlander review for episode 8, which is going to be going up as soon as I get it edited because I put those ones up immediately. I did finish Docile just a little bit ago, and I don't have any concise thoughts for you about this yet. I may do a dedicated review for this book because I hadn't seen it anywhere else yet. It was fascinating. It makes you ache the way that dystopians do, where things are just like so unfair, you know, like where they're just so unfair and you just want people to snap out of it and realize that this is such a stupid way to do things. But at the same time, I was just so caught up in the story and in the journey of these two men and how they like just grow and change each other. And one of them is changed for the better and one of them is changed horribly, but then it's still going to be good in the end. Like, I don't know. It's so hard to explain and talk about. I can see why this book is going to be contentious. I mean, I don't know how contentious it will be because, again, I haven't seen anyone else talk about it yet, so I don't know if it is. I know when I was reading reviews on Goodreads, it only has like 1,000 ratings and there's a ton of reviews, and so there's not a ton of contention happening about it yet. But I feel like if any of even a slightly larger booktuber than me got a hold of this book and read it, there could be some like serious debates about this book and in conversations that should happen, in my opinion, because it's very interesting. I don't totally agree with the tagline that's chosen, which says there's no consent under capitalism. And I've seen that in some of the reviews I read. I think that puts the view of this book off. Like, that's not the story that I feel like is being told, you know, and maybe that's not even like the author either, because not all authors get to decide those things, like what that looks like. But this was fascinating and I ached for everybody when it was done, and it doesn't fix everything. There's no snap of your fingers and it's better, but there is hope at the end. And there is that like that feeling you get at the end of a dystopian or a sci-fi where things aren't all fixed, but the people who needed to learn their lesson have learned their lesson and they're going to try to keep doing good. And that was really great. So also this week, I read Stealing Cinderella by A. Zavarelli. I really enjoyed that. Again, I reviewed a lot of these, and that's coming up on Wednesday. You'll get my April wrap-up part 1. So definitely check that out. And then I'm going to DNF Sherwood. I just don't have any desire to put time into this book when I'm in the middle of some other really good ones. And so I asked my viewers who are reading this with me on Patreon, and they said that it wasn't worth finishing. Even the people who did finish it said that it didn't do anything interesting. The highest anyone rated it was 3 stars. And that is kind of the gut feeling I had about this book when I picked it, which makes me sad because I love retellings, but this kind of YA retelling rarely does anything new or special. You know, it's just that kind of book where you're like, that was cute. I'm gonna forget even the names of the characters within 5 minutes, you know? And especially after reading a book like this and some of the other books I've read, I'm just like, I don't care. So sorry about that. I DNF'd this even earlier than my normal like DNFing point, but I was just like, I can't make my brain care. So that happened. Making some progress on An Echo in the Bone. I want to read some more of that today because I'm really in the mood for it after watching Outlander. And then I started The Final Empire the other day. I am already 6 hours into the audiobook, so I'm a quarter done with the book. And it's not like wowing me right now, but it's really pleasant to listen to. The story moves really nicely. It's got all those elements of a fantasy where, you know, it's not exactly a chosen one trope, but kind of. Vin has these powers that she didn't know about, and we have, you know, the wise advisor who's teaching her about them and wants her to help in a quest that he has. And I'm excited. I mean, I know that this world is worth my time, so I'm really trying to invest in it. So that's probably enough to say about this. Thank you so much for watching, for spending your time with me. Every video of mine you watch means so much to me. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified when I upload. And yeah, thanks so much for watching.